the Irish War of Independence, Michael Collins' squad went around the streets of Dublin and engaged in the new methods of urban guerrilla warfare. Their job was to take out targets such as G Division detectives, IRA men, British Secret Service agents and Black and Tans. Their success depended on a large support network of scouts and spotters who identified targets and made sure no other British forces were in the area where an assassination was due to take place. Sometimes members of the Cumann, the women's section of the IRA, passed on weapons to the IRA men before an attack and recovered them afterwards. Sovereign Street, now Pearse Street in Clonakilty, and some of the streets leading off of it were also locations for incidents of urban guerrilla warfare at that time. The local version of the squad in Clonakilty included IRA men like James Spud Murphy and John Flyer Nyan, who were both natives of Pearse Street. Flyer was born in his father's pub, which is now McFinn's, at the western end of the street, and Spud lived in number 53, which is today Sam's Pizza Bar. In this photograph we see Flyer Nyan at the back left and Spud Murphy at the back right. The man in the front is Mick Crowley from Kilbrittain. The identity of the two women is not certain. A Black and Tan or temporary constable called James Murray was shot on Main Street, now Rossa Street in Clonakilty, on the 27th of July 1920. According to Spud Murphy's account of the incident, the IRA targeted Murray because he had fired at unarmed civilians a few days before. The captain of the Cumann in Clonakilty and president of the district council at the time was Kate Murphy, seen here in the 1950s. She was a sister of Spud Murphy and also lived at 53 Pearse Street. On the day of Constable Murray's killing, Kate with her sister Annie went up to O'Donoghue's house at number 7 McCurtain Hill, where sisters Helena and Margaret O'Donoghue, who were also members of the Cumann, had an IRA arms dump in their back garden. O'Donoghue's house was literally 150 yards from the RIC barracks at the top of Barrack Hill. The Murphy sisters got 2 revolvers from the dump and brought them down the street under their coats and handed them over to Spud and Flyer in Murphy's house. Murphy and Nyan were told by scouts who were watching at what is now the AIB Bank Corner that Constable Murray had walked down Kin Street, past the Masonic Lodge and on to Main Street, now Rossa Street. At 10 p.m, Spud and Flyer, who were wearing masks, came upon Murray standing at the doorway of Fitzgerald's greengrocer shop, which was located on the right-hand side of what is now Joseph's Workshop charity shop, and they opened fire. Murray was shot in the head and he fell on the street bleeding badly. Town doctors Nyan and Cumann were called to the scene, but they could do very little for the badly wounded Black and Tan. Murray was taken up Barrack Hill on a stretcher by police colleagues. Monsignor John O'Leary gave him the last rites and he died in the early hours of the following morning in the RIC barracks, now the Garda station. Tension was high in the town after the shooting, and that night an attempt was made by police and military to burn the town hall at the bottom of Barrack Hill, but the attempt failed with only minor damage being done to the stairs. Monsignor O'Leary and Father Collins walked the streets of the town over a number of days and nights at that time to maintain calm and prevent further trouble. Constable Murray was a native of Stradbally in County Laois and was decorated 3 times while serving with the Irish Guards in the First World War. His body was taken from Clonakilty back to Laois in a motor ambulance a few days after his death. On Tuesday the 3rd of May 1921, an RIC constable, Martin Fallon, and a temporary constable or Black and Tan called James Cullen were drinking in Kingston's pub on Barrack Hill in Clonakilty, which is now Conan Mora's bar. James Spud Murphy and other members of the Clonakilty IRA fired on the premises and Murphy threw a hand grenade into the bar. The IRA men waited in Murphy's house on Pearse Street before the attack. The following is James Spud Murphy's account of the incident, and I quote, "Tom Lane, Jim Lane and myself came into Clonakilty to search for any tans that might be moving around the town. We searched a number of public houses and got some scouts to search others. We were eventually informed that there were 3 tans in Kingston's public house in McCurtain Hill and 2 in a public house next door. Tom Lane was left to cover the public house next door while Jim and I moved to Kingston's, and I threw a bomb into the shop. Killed one of the Tans and seriously wounded another. I was struck in the buttock by a splinter of the bomb and seriously wounded." Unquote. In fact, the 2 wounded policemen survived for a number of days. The Black and Tan, James Cullen, died of peritonitis in the Cork Military Hospital on the 9th of May. He was from Wiltshire and had been a printer and a soldier before he became a temporary constable on the 24th of February 1921. RIC Constable Martin Fallon also died on the 9th of May. He was from County Roscommon, was 31 years old and had been 11 years in the RIC and was a farmer before he joined the force. Kingston's pub was later sold and bought by the Nugent family, and in November 1962 it was bought by Con and Maura Crowley. Another active member of the IRA in Clonakilty was Stephen O'Neill from Reenroo, who was a member of Tom Barry's flying column and fought at Kilmichael. He operated a bicycle shop with his sister Lena at number 11 Ash Street, which is now the Happy-Go-Lucky toy shop. Arms and ammunition were kept in O'Neill's shop, and Cumann women would bring rifles to and from the shop hidden under their hooded cloaks. This group photograph was taken in front of O'Neill's shop in the early 1920s, and in the doorway we see 3 of the toughest IRA volunteers in West Cork. From left, James Spud Murphy, Stephen O'Neill and John Flyer Nyan. Another officer of the Cumann who lived in Pearse Street in Clonakilty was Margaret or Baby Crowley, who came originally from the townland of Letter, 4 miles north of Clonakilty. Margaret was secretary of the Clonakilty branch and the district council of Cumann. Her roles included organising fundraising, first aid classes, the receiving and sending of dispatches, weapons, ammunition and other material. Margaret's home place, the Crowley farmhouse in Letter, seen here before it was replaced by a new dwelling, for some of the War of Independence was Clonakilty Battalion headquarters of the IRA. Margaret worked in her sister Kate's shop in Clonakilty in number 28 Pearse Street, which in the 1950s was joined with number 27 and is now Michelle Mitten's design gallery. Kate Crowley is seen here with her husband, businessman James Collan. No known photograph of Margaret Crowley exists. Very interesting accounts of the activities of the members of Clonakilty Cumann can be found in their pension files on the Irish Military Archives website. However, Margaret Crowley never received a pension as she died of TB in 1925, aged just 34. This notice appeared in the Southern Star at the time.